Hey, buddy. What you doing? Alright. Just gotta wait for these guys to turn up. Let's see what time it is. Okay. Think we're on schedule.
Hey, Durka. How you doing, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, I'm doing good. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming. Go on. You want to go?
Oh, hey, guys. How's it going?
Doing good, Lexi. It's nice to see you. You didn't happen to see Ross, did you, on your way here?
No, I haven't seen him. Let me check Facebook.
One eternity later.
Yo guys, what's up, man? Sorry about the time. The traffic out there is just absolutely berserk at the moment.
Looks like a good time, too.
Yeah, you sure took your time, bro.
Oh, honestly, guys, tell us about it, man. So, I was sitting in traffic, stuck at the lights, right, and this little old lady started crossing the road, and she was taking forever, so me being the nice guy that I am, I decided to go over and give her a hand. So jumps out, I'm helping this little lady, like, over the road, and looks up at the side, and there's a big house fire, and there's a puppy in the window, so I had to go over, I had to do something, I had to help. So I went running over, bust the door down, jumped straight in, I didn't even think about myself, and...
Oh, really? You were out being the hero? Because according to Facebook, you were at a fancy dress party?
Nah. That party was last week. Oh, my bad, guys, my bad. I'm sorry. Look, at the end of the day, I'm here now. Let's get this party started there. Dirk, mate, thank you very much. Appreciate you for having us here. You're a legend. Vern, Lexi, it's nice to meet you guys. I look forward to hearing about both your stores. How about we get this party started there, guys, because I'm ready to rock and roll.
Let's get it.
Let's get to it.
Welcome, Formicast fans, to another episode of Formicast Podcast, your source for all ant keeping. This is Durka, host of Formicast Podcast, and with me today I have the roundtable hosts for Formicast Podcast. Go ahead and introduce yourself, team.
I say ladies first.
Ladies first. You're muted.
You're still muted.
No! Hey, it's Lexi from Pour
And Ross.
Hey guys, Big Ross here. I'm just your average Geordie and keeping gamer.
And Vern.
Vern here from Antopia, USA.
And we have a special guest with us today, returning guest, Antbay.
Hey, it's Jamba, Antbay.
All right, folks. So, welcome back, folks, to another episode. This is our first roundtable live stream on Fridays. So we're going to be doing this every other Friday, where we're going to bring guests onto the show. We're going to have certain things to talk about, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So, before we get into the rest of the show, you guys know we have plugs. So, simple. Tell people on social media. Share on social media. Share my stories on Instagram. My favorite tongue twister. Tell your friends, your family, your neighbors, your classmates, your girlfriends, your boyfriends, your lovers, your ex-lovers, anyone you see on the street. Tie a sign around a stray dog or cat. Just kidding, don't do that. I'll report you for animal abuse if you do that. At your nearest pet store, or while you're anting, tell people about the show. Leave a review on any audio listening platform you use. 5 stars and a written review on iTunes, and I'll read it on the show. Join the Discord and come hang out with the roundtable hosts and other ant keepers all over the world. So Discord will be in the show notes. And lastly, go to Formicast's website. Yes, Formicast.com. Formicastpod.com is back, folks. Actually going to pull this up so you guys can see it. It is back. But before we get into that, I have a shout out for Ant Lover on Instagram. Actually posted him listening to the show and tagged me in it. So sweet. Well, there you go. Shout out, Ant Lover. That is awesome. Thank you for shouting out the show. Thank you so much. So really quick, here's the website. I wanted to show everyone really quick what this looks like. So we got the homepage as before. Nothing really changed other than I kind of removed some stuff from here and kind of left it plain just so that people could see what Formicast is about. And then we got the About Us page really quick. You can see kind of me describing who I am and my story of how I became an innkeeper. And then we got the host. So we got Lexi from Poor More, and there's her awesome photo. And then we got the description of her underneath that. And then you got Big Ross from the Ross Box. Got his photo, and we got a little description here. And then we got one from Vern from Antbay, USA. Same thing, a photo and a description about himself. So there's that right there. Episodes, you can listen to all episodes right here on the website. If you don't have other platforms to listen to, you can listen to it right here. You can donate to the podcast if you want. We have Patreon and we have PayPal. Pretty much most of this goes toward hosting for the website, and for like buying materials and stuff for innkeeping and doing unboxing and stuff like that. Also, you can leave us a review. There's another way you can leave us a review is by going to leave us a review. Pretty catchy, huh? And you can actually go down here to the very bottom. You can put in your name and your email and actually leave us a review. And if we think it's sweet, we'll put you right here on the testimonies page. So we got some right here. Hey, look, it's Lexi from Poor More. And then we got one from Antbay. That's pretty sweet. And then there's this thing right here called Formicast. Formicast is going to end up having a store soon. I'm not really sure what that's going to look like, but that's up to you guys. I want to get some merch. So if you guys could go to formicastpod.com, go to Formishop, you can vote on a couple of different things. Shirts, hats, coffee mugs, water bottles, backpacks, stickers, innkeeping supplies. One thing I was actually thinking about was getting Formicast printed onto a test tube. I think that would be pretty cool. And then lastly, we have the partner program. So we have stores and we have content creators. Well, mainly stores at the moment. Yeah, so we have stores that are partnered to the podcast, and that's really, you don't really have to pay out of pocket for that. Pretty much just a partnership to where I usually buy stuff from your store and I go and unbox that thing and make videos, and then you can send me ads and I can use those on the show and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. For example, let's go here to Antbay, USA. I clicked on that. It goes right to his website. Same thing. For today's ad break, we're going to Stateside Ants. So here is Stateside Ants' website. So that's how that works. It's basically to help promote your store. So, all right. So that is a quick tour of the website, and really quick. Full screen. All right. So we have ad break really quick before we get to the meat of the episode, and it is from Stateside Ants. Alright, so that is the ad break from Stateside Ants, and the code for that is Formicast Friday, 15% off on all of your ant purchases for Stateside Ants. So if you guys want that, 15% off, there's the code. Alright, folks. Alright, has everyone had a great week so far? Did you guys have a good week?
Hell. Work has been rough, mate. Work has been rough.
Yeah. 4th of July kind of threw everything out the window for me, so that was kind of crazy. So I had to do a lot of catch up today. So, how about you, Vern? How did your week go?
It was long. It was long at work, long catching queens. Had some shipping supplies get delayed, and so I had to push some orders back to next week. And yeah, It's been a little hectic.
Yeah.
Next week will be a lot worse because I'll be doing all the catch up, like you were saying. So
Yeah.
got a lot of queens though. That was good fun.
Nice. I caught a couple this week, but we'll go into that in a second. Lexi, how's your week go?
It's been so busy. So busy. I have ants and spiders everywhere.
Ants and spiders everywhere?
Yes. Not complaining. Not complaining.
Not complaining. Right.
No.
Antbay, how did your week go?
About the same. Yeah, 4th of July really
Yeah.
took me out for like good 2 days because it was like preparing for 4th of July and then the 4th of July.
Right.
I guess one more day just like to recover from 4th of July. So I'm barely functioning now as is.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So yeah, I ended up catching like 10 Tetramarium queens a couple days ago, which I found a couple dead, and I reached out to you, Vern, and Lexi, and I was just like, like I found a couple dead, and you were like, flip rocks, they're underneath getting shade, so I did that and found like 10 of them. I
Those
put
things fly by the absolute thousands.
yeah, no kidding. So I ended up putting 5 in one test tube and putting 4 in the other. So I think one of them had a mite on it, so I released it back. And I think one of them was like super aggressive and was like killing most of them. Like I looked into the test tube and there's like legs like in the test tube, and I'm like, I was like, damn, that's brutal. So yeah, and
A little
then,
protein boost.
yeah, a little protein boost, and then caught one yesterday too, Tetramarium, but it got murdered. So yeah, and then I made an order from another store. I'm not going to mention the name, but I ended up making an order, and I ended up getting a queen, and it had some like eggs and stuff, and it was bad. Like by the end of the by today, I looked at it and I'm just like, this thing is not gonna make it. So, rest in peace. But yeah, pretty much that was me. I did a couple walks this week looking for queens, and was able to find some. So, did a couple unboxing videos. Did one from Buckhammer Mycology. Did one for Stateside Ants, and did one for you for Vern for Antbay USA, which I just released that like an hour or so ago. Definitely gotta say, out of those 3, I think the best packaging job was definitely yours, Vern. Not saying theirs isn't good, but yours definitely great. So
Yeah, shipping ants is dicey as it is, so
yeah,
just take an extra little care, and
yeah,
still things can happen, but
yeah,
do your best, you know what I mean, for the ants themselves.
yeah.
Yeah, see, I don't know if you've seen the video I released yesterday as well, with the parcel that I just got from the ant lady, and the box looked like it had been elbow dropped by like Stone Cold Steve Austin or something.
Yeah,
So,
that was crazy.
It's crazy though, because all the parcels that I get all seem to be fine.
Yeah,
But whenever it has live stickers on, like live creatures, live ants, live this, live that, blah blah blah, the boxes just always get battered, like really, really bad.
maybe your delivery man doesn't like creepy and
yeah,
crawlies.
that's exactly what I said. It's so strange. So I've had like parcels with like, say, maybe 80 to 200 pounds worth of like nests and enclosures and outworlds inside, and the box is totally fine. And then I'll get like a little box about this big that can fit through your letterbox, and it's smashed to bits. Luckily though, the contents inside this time was fine. Everything survived and it was okay. But I've had a parcel arrive before with the Rabida colony, my large Rabida colony last year. And when I got that, I think I had around about 200 workers. And when it arrived, the glass tube, what they were in, the bamboo test tube, was smashed. And I did an unboxing reel. It's actually on my Instagram. And when I opened up the box, just Rabida were coming out, and I was like, "Oh dear, this isn't good." I know these girls sting you like a wasp. Well, not a wasp. They're compared to a hornet. Sorry.
Oh.
So I've got kids in the house. I know I've got like tarantulas and other stuff as well, and fire, like European fire ants. But
when I opened up this and I seen this repeater climbing out everywhere, I was like, oh, this isn't good. I spent around about 2 hours carefully unpackaging it and getting the ants situated. Yeah, it was a bit dramatic, but they all survived, thankfully. I think I had like two casualties at the most.
It's not bad.
Yeah. Cool. Well, folks, who's in chat? Let's do some shout outs. Who's in chat right now? Got about 10 to 11 people watching. All right. So today we're doing something that I'm calling ant keeping confessions. So at one point or other, we were all beginners, right? And we all made mistakes at one point or other. Some of us might make mistakes every day, like myself.
I still do now, brother. I still do now.
So I'm going to go over my ant keeping confession, and this happened my first year of ant keeping. And I don't think I've actually ever talked about this. I think I might have mentioned it to like one other person. So yeah, basically the idea is we're all humans and we make mistakes. So I like to start with saying that this is mine. So you all know about Utah Ant Shop and the liquid feeders that I talk about way back in season 1, and how it leaked blue liquid all over the place. And you know, Ross, you talked to me about this pretty much like a couple weeks ago, or when we first started talking and stuff, and you're mentioning that. Well, when I was doing that, with that specific colony that I had from him, the liquid I was giving them was the blue liquid, but my mistake was there was no water in that nest. I didn't give them any water, and so they died. So that's my mistake. That's my confession as an ant keeper, is as a beginner ant keeper back then, I didn't give them any water. I thought that this blue liquid was sufficient enough for these ants, which is definitely not true. Well, folks, ants, they need water, just like us. Good water, right? Not dirty water. They need good drinking, clean water for them to drink, right? And so that's what I learned, especially now, is being super careful with what I feed my ants and what I give them to drink. So yeah, that is my ant keeping confession. So
one thing quickly just to touch on that as well, some ant keepers, like, just to help with that, some actually think that humidity, like water, like condensation, works in that factor where it doesn't. Ants need a clean supply of drinking water,
right?
Where certain ant species that are more humidity dependent, some people actually don't bother adding like liquid feeders or anything like cotton balls of water or nothing, because they think they'll just drink from the condensation from the humidity, where that's actually incorrect. They'll not bother touching that at all. If anything, they'll only stick substrate or garbage to it to dispose of it. They'll not actually drink from that.
Right. Cool. Who wants to go next?
Okay, I'll go.
Harry, then we've got the guest. Let the guest go. This is Antbay's day.
Yeah, come on.
This is Antbay. Come on, buddy. This is all on you.
So,
no pressure.
Kind of funny because
no judgment.
As soon as he told me that this is the topic that we're gonna do, and I was thinking, what kind of mistakes have I done, right? I was thinking like, oh yeah, I forgot to like do like a good watering system for one of my carpenter ants that like almost died out, and then I was thinking like, because it was during the hibernation, right? And then I was thinking like, I had some test tubes that I put away. And then it just hit me like, oh my god, I actually did put away test tubes. That's in a much colder place. And then I ran to check it. There was like 2, 3, 4 test tube ants that died out. And I found that out like a week ago. And I felt so bad. And it was camping on us. So bad with the names, but Feds. Yeah. That
they're
whole colony
beautiful
died
as well.
out.
They are absolutely
and then
beautiful as well.
It was a queen that was doing. Yeah, it was a queen that was doing really bad, and then she recovered, and then during the hibernation, because of me, she died out, and because I completely forgot about her. So,
Mate, they're actually quite a difficult species as well. I had a large colony sent out from the ant lady before, probably around 40, 50 workers that had majors and everything. I moved them into a nest. The nest was a bit too large. I instantly moved them back out like 3 days later when the new nest arrived. Temperatures and humidity were perfect. They were eating, but the queen just stopped laying, and eventually the workers and in generations died off. But they're a very difficult species, but they're an amazing species to get. If you can get them going, they're amazing, absolutely beautiful. But don't beat yourself up with that because they actually are like a bit tender.
Yeah, but like, I forgot about them for like a good 6 months.
Right, well that crosses the line then, I guess.
I pretty much every season, going through my backpack or the car or the ant room, it's sad, but I always find some of my little catch tubes. You know what I mean? And they'll have a queen in them that was all the way from the catch, but there's like different compartments in my backpack, and I have one specific one I always use. And it's hot out and it's sweaty, and I'm tossing them in there, and sometimes I toss them in the wrong one. And I try to double check, triple check, whatever, and I've lost some rare and hard to get to queens that way. But yeah, it's always you look under your truck seat and you see a Placodops queen from a month ago in one of those, and just about crushes you.
Oof. Yeah, like that carpenter queen killing me this week. All right.
Yeah, but Ross actually touched on a good point there. Is that everyone packages differently, but a lot of your risky business to shipping ants, period, is going to be what happens in the mail. You know what I mean? I overnighted the package yesterday. For some reason, when I overnight stuff from here to California, smooth sailing every time. From Texas to Texas, something always happens. And today, which has been hot as heck in Texas too, they just said undeliverable, which basically means the FedEx guy just didn't want to deliver that day for some reason or another, so he would have had to wait till Monday. Luckily, the customer caught on. He went down there, set up a pickup for it, you know what I mean? But sometimes those 2 or 3 days, especially with like honeypots, which is what this guy got, it could be the end of them, you know what I mean?
Right.
So.
Yeah. Luckily, my roommate was here and could get the package off the porch. But yeah, it was hot today too. So.
Yeah, so like even in your situation, I had another guy in Houston that got some honeypots, and they got left out in the sun. And he said, "Oh, well, the tubes are kind of flooded." And I just explained to him, and the temperature inside the box is, a certain degree, comes out of the truck, sits in the sun. That fluctuation within the box, that'll create humidity in there almost every time.
Yeah.
So the sun and the mailboxes are number one ant killers probably.
Yeah.
In the shipping business.
Yeah, no kidding. They get tossed around like nothing. As we could see from Ross's box from this past video he did.
I think that guy didn't like ants.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Or bugs or something.
Yeah. Anybody else have a ant keeping confession they want to share?
I kind of have one that Ross also kind of touched on. Not saying you're a beginner, but back when I started ant keeping, I'd say the biggest consistent mistake that I made, and I've seen a lot of other people make, is just not having consistency and doing more than you should. You know what I mean? Like moving ants a bunch of times in nests, or putting them in a nest that's too large, or like what I have found now in my later years of doing it is that like consistency is absolute key. So like everyone gets food on the same day, water on the same day, wait 3 or 4 days, do the same thing, check the water towers each time. Absolute consistency. And when you move them to a nest, like have that planned out to where you're pretty confident that's going to roll good. In my younger years, I definitely screwed up a lot of colonies. Just moving nests, really, Like I would make a lot of nests back in the day too, and I would make a cool nest, let it dry out, do whatever, and then I'm like, I got to put an ant colony in here. I got to put an ant colony in here. And I've noticed that in ant keeping, there's kind of almost two sides to it. There's ant addiction, and then there's nest addiction. And there's some people that are heavily nest addicted, and they will, against all proper advice, they will put any colony into that nest because the nest is so cool for whatever reason, whether it's artistic or it's what they've wanted forever, you know what I mean? Where like a lot of species, especially humidity dependent species, are, oh man, that thing's smashed up.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, humidity-dependent species, the nest has to fit the ants, and it's kind of a downhill battle because, like with honeypots, you want them to fill the nest, but then they are filling the nest, and you need a nest that they won't fill but need to fill because honeypots do real bad with like dead, dry air. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a constant battle of that deal. But that's the main thing that I did, just not consistent and messing with them too often. Not necessarily like looking at them, but just changing things around and not letting them get in their own rhythm.
Right. Okay. We all good on confessions, or we got any more?
Well,
Yeah, I was going to say there, Lexi, you can go before me, ladies first.
I make no mistakes. No, I'm kidding.
Behave! You're perfect! Behave!
Actually, my first colony was tortured. I feel so bad now. I actually found the queen already established under a rock at my old place, and I didn't know that was frowned upon, so I captured her and spent like 2 weeks catching her workers as well.
At least you went that extra step.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I try to catch as many as I could for as long as I could until they just weren't there anymore. So I either caught them all or they're like, okay, let's get out of here. But they were tortured. They were Formica subcereceus, which are skittish.
Yeah.
And I put them on top of our fireplace in our living room where our 3 kids used to do dance parties. So there was like a lot of vibration in a nest that was far too big. Yeah. Poor guys.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm doing exactly the same thing you're saying right now.
How long have we got for this podcast? Because my list goes on of mistakes I've made.
Well, we have questions from social media, and then we have questions from the viewers. So,
right. Well, I can give you a quick rundown of ones I've made. So I've live fed fouling colonies in a test tube. I've put my first ever ant colony was Lasius niger. I put a fruit fly in when they had around 10 workers and watched them attack that. I did that. I have overwatered hydration chambers many a times. The ant lady sent me out a beautiful colony of around 15 workers of Cataglyphis iberica. They're a desert species, desert ant they're known as, and obviously you can guess they're not very humid. But I put them in a bamboo tube and overwatered it. The queen got stressed and, of course, stopped laying, and eventually the workers died out, just of old age, basically. I have moved ants into a nest too large to the point where they have stored garbage in excess areas where it has went mouldy. Can't notice feds. The queen did stop laying. I've did loads of mistakes. I've overfed them with protein and left it in for like 2-3 days because I've been too lazy to take it out, and then I've found out the next day I've got grain mites. The grain mites infected maybe 3 or 4 different colonies. I did get predator mites, and I had to add predator mites to all the outworlds, which did deal with it. But another thing, just a bit of advice, if anyone does get grain mites aren't the bad ones that'll attach themselves to the ants and suck on them. They'll just hover around your outworlds. They're like humid areas, somewhere damp. So if you keep your outworlds nice and dry, it's going to get uncomfortable for them. They'll look for somewhere that's going to be more moist. Add small pots of water. Now I've got a few pots at the back of us. What I would use from the pet shop when I would buy mealworms or marrow worms, the little small circle tubs. I would fill them with water and I'd put them on the roof of the outworlds on the lids. Fill them up with water. Let the outworlds dry out, and the mites would actually all gather up, escape the outworld. They would go into the pots of water and they would get stuck in the water and actually fade out. So doing pots of water on the roof of every outworld, plus predator mites on the inside, it worked a lot. So the predator mites eat the grain mites, and then when there's no grain mites left to eat, they die themselves. Grain mites aren't effective to your ant colonies. They're just so on the eyes to look at, especially if you get a massive abundance of them. So if you get grey mites, the little very small white ones, you don't need to worry about them. They're just not nice to look at. Yeah, I've made a lot of mistakes. I still make mistakes to this day. I mean, it was only a few weeks ago that I didn't close the lid correctly on the Singularis Outworld, and I had an escapee, which I never returned. Yeah, I've made a lot of mistakes. I've only been keeping for 2.5 years now, so I'm still learning, still making mistakes. And
Yeah.
I think as an ant keeper, you need to make mistakes to learn from things.
It's all about experience.
Before I did full research into things, that's when I did the live feeding with the last year's Niger and a fruit fly. Now, don't get me wrong, they didn't take no like drama from that fly. They got stuck in. I think they had like 8 of them were like grabbing her and just like stretching her out. The queen was all at one side, but yeah, it's just unnecessary stress. Some things that you don't need to do, but I think when you watch online videos and content creators and things like that, and you see them like feeding something, like, oh, this is going to be awesome. You'll chuck any type of food in, and yeah, expect to see like some fun stuff. So yeah, you live, you learn, you laugh, you live, you learn. One of them, you know what I mean? It's just mistakes. You learn by them. If you don't make mistakes, you don't learn. And obviously reaching out to other people. And like to say, it's live feeding's frowned upon unless it's for a specific species which actually hunts for live food, like harp. I'm not going to pronounce it properly. Your harp venom, as however it's pronounced, things like that. So yeah, it all depends on the species. Oh, what a beautiful cat. But yeah, that's my confessions. I could go on. I could be here all night. I've got loads of mistakes that I make. Honestly, loads. Don't add enough water to liquid sugar mixes. It goes on and on, honestly.
Yeah. We all make mistakes.
One last one I will actually quickly mention is when it comes to your barriers for your anti-slip, for your anti-skipping outworlds, do your research on them, because specific ants can climb specific barriers. Now, I've had tubs and tubes set up with Fluon, and my Crematogaster Scutularis have climbed over it. And then different times I've done like baby oil even, and it's held back everything. I mean, I've done baby oil on my Myrmica rubra, like these ones at the side over here, and they don't get past it. My Menigere beta don't get past it. But if I put Fluon, they'll climb over it. Certain species can climb certain barriers. So
Fedole can climb right over Fluon too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like small species, I think. Like small species can climb Fluon very easy.
And Myrmicosistis honeypots can climb over anything but Fluon.
Yeah, so if you're gonna look at an open top barrier, open top enclosure, sorry, do your correct research on the barriers needed, because if you put the wrong one on, you're gonna lose out. But that's it from me.
Yeah. All right.
I guess I got one more.
If you guys. Yeah. Go ahead.
I guess I still do it sometimes out of panic, but when I see my ants not like feeding on protein, I would kind of like shove it into their holes, into their nests, into their little tubes. I found out it was pretty bad, but I think I did that like to the honey ponds that I got from you, Vern. They actually ate it and recovered. So I don't know if it's a bad thing or not. I'm still like,
one thing you can do for that is and Ross has mentioned like queens not laying and stuff. Sometimes there's just like a equilibrium out of balance within the workers and the queen and your workforce. Basically, you can take mealworm guts. It sounds gross, but squeeze them out like a tube of toothpaste, and then you take a toothpick and you could get the end of the mealworm guts on the toothpick, and you just stick that down into your tubing, like if you have a mini hearth, and that way the queen will most likely be attracted to it at some point in her walking around, and she'll process that protein. Because workers won't even process the protein. They just bring the protein to the queen through the larva or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that way you're not leaving like a big old chunk of cockroach or cricket leg with inside the nest.
Yeah.
And the queen can process. That's what I always tell people if they're telling me they have a queen that's not laying, or if they're not seeing signs of protein production. And usually some queens just stall out and you'll never get them back. That's just what happens. But most of the time when I tell people that, you usually get a positive response out of it. It's worked many times, but
Yeah.
that'll keep you from shoving a half a cockroach down in there.
I was actually speaking to a guy on the ladies Facebook group today. He made a post in a group saying, why is my Campanotus nicobarensis not feeding? He's tried different foods and they're not eating. And basically what it was is the ants were full. That's what it was, the ants were full. So you can judge it by the gastas. So if you look at the gastas on the ants, you can normally see them expand when they're full.
Yeah.
And if you see it's more like a milky white type colour, that's when you know it's protein.
Right.
If your ants have like a milky white colour bands in the gasta on where you can see it's visible, that's protein. So they're full with that. Let that shrink down. Check your ants by the gastas. Just judge by the size. If the majority of the ants are getting smaller size gastas, then add more food. If you're wanting more protein production, egg production and brood, push more more protein. Sorry, so we call it like power feeding protein. Give them loads, give them a massive abundance of protein. It's going to help with the brood and stuff. And then, of course, you need to mix in like the sugars as well, like the carbs.
But yeah, and that's the thing too, is those workers are not digesting any of the protein at all. They're storing it in their social stomach. So
yeah, exactly.
if they're all stored up, queen's full, they're not going to process the protein you're dropping in. But that touches back on big mistakes that I made in the beginning, and a lot of people do, overthinking. And ants, for the most part, they're going to tell you what's wrong by not doing certain things, you know what I mean? So if you're feeding them protein and they're not eating it, there's two things that are happening. Like you said, they're full, the protein that they've already stored hasn't been processed yet, or two, they don't like that type of protein anymore.
Yeah, they're being fussy. Because,
so
believe it or not, ants are ants, but they can be very fussy and very stubborn. Like I've got specific species here that only like certain types of food. I've got to buy crickets, the small brown ones, just for me Cataglyphus velox, because they'll only take the crickets. If I offer them red runners, they'll show no interest. I can chop up the red runners into like 3 or 4 slices, and I mean a red runner adult's only around about that big, anyways.
Yeah.
And I can chop that up very small, and velox are a large size ant too, and they'll show no interest. But a small brown cricket or an adult brown, they'll drag it straight into the nest.
After it. A lot of that can be the makeup of the insect that they're trying to eat. So in the wild, ants eat all different kinds of insects, and in captivity we generally just feed them fruit flies, roaches, crickets, and most people, like even myself, you feed them one staple diet that's like the easiest for you to grow or maintain. And like especially with carpenter ants, a lot of carpenter ants will stall out, a year in because they're not getting a bigger variety. And so like mealworms are going to be higher in, let's say, phosphorus. I don't know if that's true, but
it's going to depend on the location and the world of where they're from, what food sources like located for them.
Or even just generally that food source's general diet versus the others. And so when the ant's just getting one all the time, eventually they're like, all right, we have enough of that. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with like Biformica sunburst that has a lot of salt in it, and the ants are like attracted to it, like it's unsolicited.
See, that's another thing. It's also what you've got
it,
loads your feed us with as well, isn't it?
That's what I get.
Exactly. And then the thing with red runners is if you consistently stick to them but gut load with different stuff, say week in, week out, you're giving that sort of variant, but there's still down to like the bodies of the insect. So a roach is going to hold different stuff in its exoskeleton than a mealworm, and fruit flies, and so on and so forth. And like me, I'm just as guilty as everyone. I mainly stick to red runners, but once I start noticing that, like you're saying, gasters aren't full, they're not, the ants aren't full, they're just not wanting this specific protein anymore, then I'll switch it to another one, and that'll usually kickstart them, back into gear. But there's a lot about ants that we absolutely don't know and that we don't really dive into as a hobby. And I think the biggest thing of that is diet. You know what I mean?
See,
we do with what works, but we don't know the actual needs of each species. You know what I mean? And they're in the wild. They're not going to be eating the same food source almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Ever.
I mean, the opportunistic eaters and the scavengers at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's where the the talk comes about like live feeding, because
Mhm.
generally they're not going to go out and like live, unless it's like army ants, but
Right.
they're not going to go out and
That's
live attack food and eat food and stuff like that. It's more so defending the nest and defending the territory. If they do take the prey down, then fair enough, but they
that's
aren't
it.
just
But
generally going to go out and attack food, like attack prey to take it down and eat it.
Right.
If they had a dead roach next to them, they'd rather take the dead roach.
there
Because
is
scavengers.
there is a lot of hunting species though. Like a lot of Myrmecocysts
Oh yeah, for
actually
sure,
hunt
for sure.
and go out and hunt. But like and even like Myrmecocysts mexicanus, they intentionally will nest near and this is the opposite of what we're saying. They'll nest near Pogonomyrmex, and they'll strictly eat off of their dead workers. So the Pogonomyrmex trash pile will be full of dead pogos, and the Mexicanus, they will eat off of those workers consistently. The Mexicanus also hunts.
Huh.
I'm not going to say they go out of their way on a hunting party, but anything, within 15 meters of the nest, caterpillars, butterflies, crickets, grasshoppers.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So obviously, like in the wild, compared to being kept in captivity,
Right.
if we were to drop like live food in every 2 weeks, that's not going to happen like realistically in the wild. Because if a cricket or like a roach or something gets bit by an ant, it's gone.
Right.
Where if it's trapped in a little 4-inch enclosure, it's got nowhere to escape. I think that's where the animosity comes in with live feeding and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I've heard a lot about speaking about the diets on your feeders, like what you were saying. I've heard a lot of people say that they don't add sugars and carbs in for the ants. They just offer it to the likes of the roaches and stuff, and then they feed that to the ants. So why give your ants protein and sugars if you can just give your crickets and your roaches and your worms, whatever, protein and sugars, and then they can get it from them, which it does make sense, but it's not something I have tried. I would actually like to test it out. I was thinking before about getting 2 just separate tubs and feeding.
The big problem with that is that like we kind of talked about earlier, worker ants do not process protein at all. They store it in their social stomach. Worker ants need carbs to live. And
because that's their sugars and energies.
Yeah, they eat nothing else. Or like a queen is a mixture of both. She needs carbs as well, but she mainly needs protein. The carbs she can get by on. If you have a colony like the one I just sent you, Durka, and you were to never feed them protein again, they would not die. They would stay alive, but they would not produce any more eggs, any more larvae, nothing like that.
Right.
Where like if you were to just feed the protein, then and no carbs, the workers would die. The queen would stay alive.
Right.
Long story short.
Yeah.
See, that's something I want to test. I want to get like 2 separate tubs, like 1 tub of crickets to be fed loads of sugars, and then a separate tub of crickets to be fed like just say maybe like vegetables and stuff, and then put 2 crickets in, like 1 from each tub, and then see if the ants show a certain attraction to a specific one. Do they go for the one that's been power fed sugars, or do they go for the one that's been power fed like vegetable?
Interesting experiment.
Yeah, sure. Just something like little things that add like this. Mate, there's loads of things that you could test and trial and stuff. I mean, like Antbay, I love watching his content on Instagram and stuff because I love he does a lot of the liquid colour feeding.
Yeah.
And he does them time lapse videos, and they're absolutely like for the quality of his videos that he puts out as well. It's amazing. It's stunning to watch. So that's definitely something that I love watching on his channel.
Yeah. Cool. You guys ready for some questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hit it.
All right. First question we got from Casey. What is the most rewarding parts of ant keeping? Healthy colonies? I think these are all separate questions. Yeah. So what's the most rewarding parts of ant keeping?
Being successful and having healthy, happy ants. Catching queens. Chasing down something you've been after for a long time and finally getting it.
Yeah. See, I think for Vern, this is known at all, because obviously for anyone who doesn't watch this or doesn't know Vern, obviously Vern is from the US, and he does all your honey pots, and they're not just as simple as finding out, oh, this ant flies in this time of the month. There's a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of detail goes into this in time. And Vern puts in a shit ton of resources when it comes to like research wise stuff and effort he makes with to finding these queens and stuff. I mean, I remember listening to you talking about it before, and I was at work and I was actually climbing in and out of cars in Nissan, building cars, and I was listening to you talking about how you did it, and you were there for like 2-3 days or something, and you had nothing coming up, and you're like on your last. I'm getting goosebumps now talking about it. I can literally picture you talking about it, and you were saying, you spent 2-3 days, and like, look, I failed, blah blah blah. I'm ready to leave, and just as you were about to leave, boom, the mound just exploded, and there was just thousands of queens and stuff flying everywhere, and it was. I've got goosebumps again. It's absolutely
actually
crazy.
I sat down with the colony, and I'm like, well, this is what I came here for, even if you guys aren't gonna fly. And it all popped off right there. And that was the second year going to the spot. First year, didn't get him, and yeah, that's all part of that being successful part. You know what I mean? It could be if you don't go out and catch them yourself, to just have a real happy, healthy colony for years and years, or to meet your accolades. It's all about your accomplishments. And like we talked about, you're gonna have failures, and you're gonna learn from that stuff. But your accomplishments, that's the best part.
Right.
See, that 100% goes two different ways. Because like, obviously, me in the UK, our native species are nothing like what you have in the US. So like your honeypots and stuff. So for us, Lasius niger, that's our most common one. Lasius flavus, Mimagruba. Well, Lasius niger has just started flying now. It's starting to get recordings now around the UK. Them flying in different parts of the country. It'll probably be the end of the year, end of the month. Sorry, when it reaches my area. But at the moment for us, it's literally just as simple as, right, they're flying in this area, go to a car park or a garage area or something, and you'll find them everywhere. But for someone like you, going for your type of species, it's a complete different level. So that's why I'm just like, it falls into like two different categories. If that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just say, all right, mine's flying this week, I'll go and find them. You need times, temperatures, weathers, area. You need like everything, so much into it. So for you being successful on that level, I think it's just a complete whole new stage.
And it's something I hope everyone goes out and tries. Even in the UK, I'm sure there's something that you could.
I'll go for honeypots.
You have to catch anything this whole month.
Antbay has honeypots where he's at, and I used to live in California, and those were on my bucket list, and I never did go get them. So maybe Antbay can go get them for me. And just
it is 7 hours drive. I'm like,
where are you at again?
I'm in San Francisco Bay Area. So.
No, you have them in a. There's some park there. I know you've heard about it, and I can't.
Yeah,
in 4 or 5 years.
I don't think I heard anybody catching lately. Yeah,
they have been caught testaceous, but
really,
yeah.
Oh, kidding. Yeah, because I don't want to go drive down to like Nevada. Mojave Desert, right? That's where most ants are.
No, there's testaceous right there.
Okay.
And Santa Cruz too has some honeypots, which is a ways from you, but
not too far. It's like an hour drive.
Yeah.
We have no deserts in Michigan, so we got lakes, but there's no lakes and lakes.
Lexi, I'm sure in your areas, if you guys did like some crazy research, or Lexi may already know, there's probably species there that you want that haven't come across, and I hope everyone goes out after something like that and gets that feeling. You know what I mean? When you do finally strike gold, or you get your white whale.
Yeah. There's actually more to this question. So it's healthy colonies, big collection, and growth benchmarks. So that's the other part of the question. So. Okay.
Oh, were those add-on questions?
Yeah, I think it was add-ons to the question. It was the most rewarding parts of ant keeping. Healthy colonies, big collections, or growth benchmarks. So
I think we covered basically all of those. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like moving nest, your first honeypot, or first repletes, all that kind of
thing.
I think if you get a species as well. Sorry, go on, Antbay. You go ahead.
I was just saying, like, for me, it's like, that benchmark of hitting those amount of the workers you want to get. So when you come look, they're just like running around everywhere. And it's always really cool to see.
Yeah.
And on my channel, I like to make all of them like drinking the honey waters and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So that's, for me, that's where like the most satisfying part is.
Yeah. Cool. Ready to move on to the next question?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, for sure.
The next question is from Ants Germany 0. Ants Germany reached out to me today. He caught about 20-something Lasius nigers. and he's been looking for someone to take them off of his hands. And I was like, well, I'm in the U.S. No, but that he wanted me to bring it up, so I am doing him a favor. For anybody listening that's in Germany that wouldn't mind taking them off of his hand, there you go.
Sorry, mate, what did you say his name was? I'll drop my follow on Instagram now.
Ants Germany 0. He's got about 20 of them, and he's been catching a lot. And he wants to know if anybody in Europe, I guess, because I guess Europe you can just willy-nilly send them around. Unlike here in the U.S., we can't do that. I was like, I told him, I said, I'm in the U.S., man, or else I take them off your hands.
Yeah, I just dropped my follow.
Yeah.
Right, so over in the US, obviously, my most common one is Lassius niger. That's my favourite. And what's your like most native species? Is that Lassius neo-niger or something? I think it's called.
No, well, on the U.S. side, that's probably not the most common.
No.
And there's so many common ones.
So what? You have a pavement ant as well, don't you?
Tetramorium.
Yeah.
Oh, you've got the tetras
or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is a common ant, but I think we have like such a variation of very common ants.
Yeah, here it's nothing but Argentinian ants. Nothing but.
Yeah. Where Antbay lives is actually a super colony that spreads like, I think it's like 70 miles or something. That all the ants within that 70-mile square basically are all related and within the same colony.
That's wild.
Yeah.
We actually gave we had a giveaway on our Discord about the most common ant in Canada, and I'm not quite sure which one it was, but I know it was a Camponotus. But I seem to find Neo-Niger a lot more than Camponotus, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it'll probably depend on your area, won't it, as well, like where you're, like your climate and stuff like that.
Just from seeing the little bit of stuff like from Europe, it seems that Lassius neo-niger is just everywhere there, whereas us, like, Lassius neo-niger is more rare on the west coast, where it would be really common up north, closer to Lexi's area, and then and then even like from where Durka lives, where I live, like we don't have pavement ants. We have a type of pavement ant, but they're not common. Like pogos are common here everywhere. Rugosas for thousands of miles.
See, I would love pogos.
I love
they are
pogos.
Gorgeous, man. Absolutely.
I lost
Sunday
mine.
I caught four different species of them, and but it's mainly just rugosas. Rugosas is everywhere. Barbados is mixed in there. Maricopa is sprinkled in there. But
see, that's a bad thing with the US, right? Because the US has so many state laws about passing ants like over like the different states and stuff. I mean, like you could be literally on the border and your favorite ant species could be like 20 foot away and you can't get it, and that sucks. But at the same time, compared to us, obviously I know us like in like Europe and England and stuff, we can get basically like anything.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But our natives suck. Like not suck, but like compared to the types you have. Do you know what I mean? I mean, like we have Lassius niger. We have Lassius flavus. We have like Formica linguini, I think it's, or limani, it's pronounced. Mimicaruba, like stuff like that. Then you've got like the pogos, and it's like, but why are you so upset? Though, like that's a beautiful species. Do you know what I mean?
And that's what trips me out here in the United States, which I have nothing against it, but people want to get like non-native species, and I'm like, man, we have some of the cool species, and that's what I was going to touch on. Is our permit system is ridiculously easy, you know, and there's only like one little stipulation to it, is that if the ant doesn't have a native range where you're trying to get it, you cannot get it. So that's why like I can't send honeypots to Michigan where Durka lives, you know what I mean? But so it does stop some people, but say you live in Texas to California or Arizona to Nevada or states that are similar like Colorado.
So is that like states which are like side by side you can pass them over, but if you like skip a state or two you can't?
You can't without a permit still. And the whole reason, I work a lot with the USDA on a lot of different things, but the whole reason is because fire ants became such a problem that they're avoiding another ecological disaster basically. And what you're saying wouldn't harm anybody, and even some of the invasives that people get would not be harmful or have a chance to survive. But like if you were to send Acromyrmex to a colder climate, and a couple people had acromyrmex, and they were able to get out. The ones that we have, versicolor, they could establish, and they could compete with other, native wildlife. And so that's their big deal that they're trying to do. But a permit is so easy to get; it costs nothing. And even if you wanted to get, like if Durka wanted to get honeypots, he can do a containment facility. It doesn't cost anything. USDA sends someone out to your facility, and they inspect it. And like my aunt's back here in my bedroom, I have an apartment on the property that is a containment facility. And they came and inspected it. They told me what repairs I needed to do or additions to make it feasible. And now I can have anything in the country, almost in the world. So I can get I have permits for all three species of Australian honeypot ants. And I could basically probably get anything that isn't on the invasive characteristics species list.
So what's this containment thing that you don't like? What are they looking at for that?
So like for here in the United States, it just depends on if it's an exterior room in the house, like if it's close to the front door,
like escape preventions and stuff like that.
What kind of windows you have, where it's located. And some guys have to do a ton of stuff. I didn't have to do a whole ton of stuff. But
Jake, what are you waiting for?
What's up?
Yeah, I was
Jake, pull your finger out and get it done. You're always complaining. Oh, I can't get this species. I can't get that species. Pull your finger out your butt and get it done. Okay. Get some beautiful species, mate. You are literally so lucky for the natives in your country.
Yeah, you could probably have an aquarium inside a locked box that had like foam hinges everywhere, and that could probably pass. You know what I mean? And it also depends on your inspector. Like I had an old Wild West inspector that was related to John Wayne, basically, and he said, "You do a couple things here. You seem like a good old boy. We'll get you set up." So
that's cool.
Yeah.
See, I know a friend of mine has a reptile vivarium, like a big wooden one with the sliding glass doors on the front.
Yep.
And he then has like a fish tank, like what I have in the background there. He has one of them on the inside with his ants in, and he has the heat mat on the inside against the back wall, and that's what he uses to maintain the temperatures inside. I think that's what he uses for his leafcutter ants, and he's in the UK.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to look at permits. This is something I've been thinking about too. So yeah, we actually had 2 questions from Ants Germany, and we completely didn't.
Sorry, my bad. I think that was me. I'm sorry if it was.
No worries. No, I think that was a good tangent. What species do you have that is the hardest to keep? And what species do you have that you love the most? So hardest and the one that you love the most.
I don't got a species, but genus. Honeypots, and then Aditexana is the hardest to keep. But this year I finally got them good.
Good.
Yeah, honeypots.
I hate the love the most questions.
I know.
Antbay, that's your favorite or both? Your favorite ant artist?
Both. Because back in Mongolia, I saw a documentary on honeypot ants, and I was just like, oh my god, that's so cool. And I never knew that America had it. So when I first started keeping ants, and I saw another documentary, people going out to the desert catching them, I was like, wait a minute, we have it here. So that's a nice looking ant. So I had the worst luck with the Navajo. They died out for no good reason. They were doing good, and then the queen just died one day.
For the most part.
And then now, like I told you, I'm having struggles with the mix, but they're finally recovering. I'm just waiting for the day where I have actual repletes hanging upside down.
Yeah. Well, we need to get you set up with another couple of starters or something. Because a lot of that too can come down to bad genetics in queens. If you catch 100 queens, I've seen it, and then raise them to workers, you'll have some that don't do very good, some that do great, and so that's impossible for me to predict. But that could be part of the issue. I don't think it's you, and I think you got to keep trying because, like you said, once you get those repletes hanging up there like Christmas lights. I don't think there's anything that can do that.
That's a great tip. Hanging up there like Christmas lights.
Hey, Antbay, are you gonna eat one on camera, like we discussed? Are you gonna eat one on camera, like we discussed?
I'll I'll send you one. Just one.
What's that? Eat a replete.
I guess close second would be my Aculetus. That could I guess I can eat that one. Sure, why not? Let me. Are you guys gonna judge me if I eat a live ant?
No, I'm not
do it
gonna
right
judge.
now.
Do it
Nah,
right
just
now.
go for it, man. It's nature. Just do it.
You got to
All right.
replete eat right now?
He's gonna do it right now.
Not a repeat, but
For real?
I do have Aculetus that fed yesterday that has a lot of yellow
Can I record this from your Instagram story?
Yeah, send it. Eat one. People been eating ants for thousands of years.
Let me see if I can even. I always want to see it. I have a colony ready here, but
What
these
is
girls
this?
are so.
Right, just give us a heads up
Uh,
if you're gonna do something. Record you doing it because this is gonna be awesome.
These are the Campanellus maculatus.
Beautiful. Oh,
But they get so scared. They're not coming out. There's nothing in that world except.
does
they're running in
anybody
right now.
know if you can brood boost Campanellus singularis with maculatus brood?
You should be able to.
Yeah,
I've heard you can.
Campanellus except-
I've heard you can brood boost singularis with maculatus brood.
Most
Because my
geniuses
singular-
you can.
Yeah, my singularis colony's struggling. I've dropped down like a lot, so I'm trying to get them going again. And I had a guy there who was gonna sell us some pupae, but then he pulled out last minute for God knows what reason. Said he couldn't do it. But I've got a friend who's got maculatus. I mean, I've got Nika Berensis brood there, like coming out there. You know what I mean? I've got loads of it.
Just keep trying it and see what sticks.
I should just
try
go
with
for it.
a bunch of- yeah, just almost all the genuses. Like with honeypots, it's a little different. It's got to be down to like the subspecies. But in my experience, which I have not kept a ton of campos, but every campo I've ever kept is interchangeable.
Yeah,
You give
I have a lot
Modoc
of
to
campos.
Vicinus and all of the above.
If the larva is that just like maybe like barely hatched from the egg, those are the ones that get accepted into the colony the most.
So do you think it's best offering like young larvae or pupae?
Yeah, young larvae.
Young larvae,
is good.
so they can
yeah.
raise it themselves.
Mhm.
Yeah, cool.
I
Or
noticed
if
when
not,
I
they eat it and it's a boost of protein. It's a win.
But then again, it's like, how am I going to get access to the nest to get the larvae? Because that's going to be in the most humid like area of the nest.
Right.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
yeah, but yeah, younger the larva is, the better.
Yeah.
I think I
Yeah,
can
sorry,
even
Dirk.
watch
What
this
was your
plan.
question, mate? I think we got a bit carried away again. What was the question again, there, brother?
The question was, what is the hardest to keep, and what is the favorite or what is the species that you love the most? I guess so. It's a two-part question. So,
Me and Antbay went. Now it's Ross and Lexi.
yeah.
Right.
And then Dirk.
Ladies first, Lexi, I'll let you go first, love.
We don't keep any hard ants. We like to keep beginner ants because that's what we sell. I would have to say probably the winter ant would be the hardest, just because it's not easy.
Phrenolopsis?
Yeah.
Oh, they're another one of my white whales that I never did good with when I had access to them.
Yeah, because they're hard to
Never.
get past the first year.
Yeah, they keep on eating their brood. We're not even like bothering them. Like, why?
Yeah.
They also are on opposite schedules.
I thought you said you were
most
eating
ants.
their brood.
They're active in the winter, and then they go into brumation or whatever you call that in the summer, where they're going to be non-active.
Yeah.
I just got some from Buckeye Myrmecology, so.
I have never, I don't even think, got to workers, and I've caught a lot
They're-
of those queens in my beginning
They're
years.
more successful if you have more than one queen. So if you, it's recommended to have at least 3 queens. It'll be more likely to be successful. I had a colony on my first year. It was actually one of the first ants that we caught, and it survived the first year. The queen died the second year, and then we introduced a new queen, and the workers took her. They accepted her, and they survived another year. But then that was it. We couldn't get past the second year.
Did
second
you ever
year
get like replete workers from them?
Do they? No.
They don't replete and like hang, but they will get
No.
like
Yeah,
real
they get.
repleted up.
they get chunky. But I don't think there's specific ones that get chunky. I think they all get pretty chunky.
Yeah, but just
Yeah.
as the generations succeed and that your worker gets larger and larger generational wise, eventually they get almost looking like now that I look at him and I see like Mac has a colony, it's like 6 years old or something.
Okay.
He has some that I'm like, man, I wish I would have like really tried on those. And they're another one that like if I could have tried now and got him going, it would be a accomplishment accolade type of feeling in ant keeping where I failed at them so many times.
Yeah, we currently have quite a few queens right now with they just got some workers. They just hatched some workers. And so far they're okay.
Yeah,
We'll see what happens.
I would think you'd have to switch those ones. Like in the summertime, you'd have to get them down to cold temps because they go way underground.
Here's the thing, we tried that. So we tried that the first year around. And then there's another store in Canada, Zachary, who says that he puts his on heat. And yeah, so I don't know. I'm too scared to put them on heat. I haven't tried. Maybe I'll pick one of the queens and put her on heat and see what happens, but I don't know. I'm too scared to experiment with them.
Difficult to everyone though. It's not just you. I mean, there is a couple people that have been real successful with them, but I can count them on one hand from what I've been able to tell you.
Well, we'll see how I do with mine. So,
is there many ant stores that's over in Canada? Like, is there many stores is there many Canada stores like around ants?
Like successful big ones.
I don't know, because you are literally like the only store that I've heard of from Canada.
Yeah, there's Zachary, who is mostly
company called Zachary.
Inside Ants. You're distracting me. Stop.
Stateside's in. Hello, welcome.
Canada and Colony.
Canada and Colony is Zachary's. He mostly is ants, and then he resells nests. But he's the biggest Canadian store for ants. He has permits and he has some pretty cool ants that we do not offer. So definitely a store to check out if you're in Canada. And then there is Formy Studio, who is fairly new but is growing pretty quickly, and he also offers ants mostly and resells nests. We are probably the biggest business that manufactures nests.
Yeah, so where would you rate yourselves? Like, not even like egotistic or nothing. Would you rate yourselves as like number one, or like? Because obviously you do some really like.
There's nothing wrong with rating yourself.
No, that's what I mean. Like, don't try and like take it like as in like an egotistic way. But how would you rate yourselves like as a store compared to the rest that's in Canada? Because I've looked on your store and these has some beautiful products. I think the effort that's went into this. I mean, I've got 3D printers and I've done stuff myself. I've never messed with anything like acrylic wise, but judging by the looks of your stuff, there's a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of thoughts went into the process of designing your equipment and your products, what you have to offer. I think they look amazing.
Great stuff.
It's 100% something that I do want to purchase from you. I do want to try that stuff out. Obviously, the shipping fees are a bit high going from Canada all the way to the UK. So after I get my wedding out the way, sooner the better. I would like to make a purchase from your store, and I would love to do a review on my channel like for your stuff. So
yeah,
could you personally, like, don't take it in a bad way,
no,
how would you rate yourself against other stores on accessory wise? Because I know you do nests, you do your outworlds, you do loads of fantastic great ideas for accessories for ants, like around test tubes and anything like that. How would you rate yourself on that level against other stores in a competitive manner?
And would you like? Are we talking about Canadian stores only?
Yeah. Like just Canadian stores. Within just Canadian stores, how would you rate your own store against other ones on like the things that you do, like the nests, the outworlds, the accessories, etc.?
So for ants, Zachary beats us for sure, hands down. But for nests and accessories, we don't have competition, to be honest. We have maybe the tiniest, littlest store, itty bittiest store that isn't really popular, that might have.
So Paul Moore is basically running the Canadian stores when it comes to like and keeping.
If you want a Canadian nest, if you want an actual Canadian nest, we're the place.
So it's Paul Moore's the place to be.
Made with maple leaves.
Yeah, and it's Canada.
Up there, Paul Moore.
Whenever.
Actually,
that's awesome. That's awesome. I was saying, congratulations. That's mint.
We have a new product that was just photographed today. You see that little box there? That's our photography box.
I've got a photography box, but mine's
I'll give you a.
Come on, give her a preview.
Yes!
Give her a preview.
Oh yeah, Formicast podcast.
Right, so we got 2 nests actually.
Here we go, boys. Here we
They
go.
have not been released yet. They were photographed today to be put on the website. So this
you're hearing this first on the Formicast podcast. This is the first ever review.
We spoke about it in our Discord, but this is outside of our Discord. This is the first time we're showing it.
It's all on you. No stress.
So, so this is the we have a nest called the apartment, and this is kind of a new version of it. So it can grow with your colonies. So you have a plug here, but it also comes with a longer plug, so you can block chambers and release and open those chambers up to your colony
as the colony grows.
Correct.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And then the water chamber is different than what we have been doing in the past. So that's a new thing here. It's pretty cool. And then you have different places.
Oh, that's awesome.
Table.
That's an absolutely amazing bit of equipment.
There you go.
And then your red cover.
That's
and then
absolutely quality.
And this one here is an all-in-one with an insert. So we started our very first nest. So this is actually, we just turned 3 years old on the 30th of June.
Oh, happy birthday for the 30th. That was last week. 3 years last week. Happy birthday.
So this is actually our 3-year-old nest. Our very first nest that we created for our store had a honeycomb pattern.
I remember.
And so this is, you can still buy it. It's the honey cell and the honey cell mini. But we've created an insert.
Oh.
I haven't played with this yet. And I'm clearly not the person that designs these. But down here goes perlite for the water chamber. And then there's holes here to water them. And then they nest in the honeycomb. And then there's the holes here to the nest, so you can block it off, or have one open.
So what species is that for? Did you see?
Whatever you want to me.
Oh, any? Oh, okay. No, I didn't know if it was like a certain species dependent or. Oh, that's cool. That's really awesome.
Yeah, and so it has magnets to make sure that the lid stays on, and then we have a centerpiece just for feeding and stuff to make escaping a little bit more difficult. It's all ventilated on the sides here.
Oh yeah.
There's vents on
That's
the
a
sides.
very beautiful piece of equipment.
That is amazing. Take my money.
So that's your fella who does all the designs, isn't it?
Yes. So he's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's very talented for sure.
I like keeping him around. He's useful.
Yeah, so
Awesome.
so he's the brains and you're the voice. You're the package, you're the love.
Yes, I make the packages. I package everything up. I help him assemble some things, and I put the products together. He designs them, asks me for my opinion, and I'm just like, whatever you say, bud. And
I've heard in past shows and stuff that we spoke about things, and you said like he's like all the knowledge, like he does everything, and
definitely,
you pay all the attention to like packaging, and you enjoy doing the packaging and showing the love and the effort to the customers and stuff like that. But he's the brains behind like the actual products and stuff.
Yes, and then I deal with like the customer interactions is mostly me.
Yeah,
I do marketing. I make the package, like I put the packages together, and that kind of stuff. So we both do Pour More full time. He's been doing Pour More full time basically the 3 years that we've been open. I've been doing Pour More full time since it's going to be a year in November. So no pressure, but my child's future depends on your orders.
Making an order
No,
now.
Now we're on the subject.
My wedding is the 29th of September, so after I've been married and I'm not paying for any more shite, I'll make a nice order with your store, and I would love to do an unboxing and a review for you. So yeah, give us a note.
We can work something out. Maybe we could do it before the 29th. We'll talk about it.
Just hang fire. No, it's fine. No, because I would like to support my friends. I like to support my stores. You know, I'm not going to like sit there and leech and be the person to say, "Oh, we're friends. Send us something free." You're my friend. I would like to support you, and I'd like to support your store. So yeah, we're cool. Just
awesome. Thank you so much.
Very welcome. Very welcome.
Cool. All right, we got another question from Ant Lover. Any tips on taking care of a trap jaw queen? Has anybody here ever kept trap jaws? No?
Nope.
I do, and I have, and I can't give any tips because I failed every time.
Okay.
I got one to workers, and then I gave it to a buddy, but you just have to let them hunt. So you got to have fruit flies, and you have to have like a tubs and tubes set up. They don't just go in test tubes. And they're egg eaters too, so basically just open the top to just feed them the fruit flies, and try not to peek, have the test tube covered with aluminum foil, black paper, or whatever, and then just drop your fruit flies in there every couple days. They can't drink from like a liquid feeder, so a cotton ball and like a water bottle cap lid with some sugar source on there of some sort.
Yeah.
That's the best I got.
Cool. We got a question from Ants Life 96. What is the perfect number of colonies to own that is still fun and not a chore than a hobby?
I can't answer that.
I would say that would depend on your lifestyle.
Right.
Right?
One.
I would generally say that would depend on your lifestyle. So obviously for me, I work full time Monday to Friday.
Same.
1 week I'll work day shifts. The next week I'll work late. So this week I've been on late, so I didn't finish until 11 p.m. And I'm still getting up at like 7:45 a.m. with the kids, and I've got also to do. So I think colony wise it'll depend on your family life and what you do and how much free time you have to yourself to do your own thing.
Yep.
I've got around 12, 13, 14 species or something like that. And it all takes time, feeding everything, water feeds, protein feeding, liquid changes, adjusting the humidity in the hydration chambers, and cleaning out stuff and maintenance. You don't want to overdo things and get too excited at the same time. I mean, when you first join the hobby, it's awesome. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're like, yes, I've got this species. This is great. But now I'm bored. Oh, another species. Yes, I've got this species. This is awesome. When I'm bored again, I want something else. Next thing you know, you've got 10 species, and then when them 10 species grow into 10, not even mature colonies, just like half decent colonies, just see maybe 30, 40 workers each. You've then got 30, 40 workers to dodge in 10 different colonies when you're taking out garbage. So you can put a roach carcass out and have maybe 10, 15 workers on, which you're going to have to pick back up and put back into the outworld. And then you're going to take the liquid feeder out to add fresh water, and you have to take about 20 workers off that and put them all back in, and that's just one outworld. So for me, I would personally say it would all depend on your personal life and how much spare time you have.
Right.
If you have a lot of time, get 500 ants.
How many
Don't be
colonies do each of you guys have?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I have 14.
What about you, Antbay?
I have
26.
10 well-established colonies, and then another 7 more on the way.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So 7 more on the way?
Yeah,
Sorry,
they're
David, you
all
want
mostly
15?
campanadas, so
Yeah.
their maintenance isn't really that much required. They're generally clean, and then I usually dedicate 1 day a week. It usually falls on Wednesdays. That's when I'm home and wife and no babies, so that's where I can like sit down and clean out all the outworld. Yeah, so I feel like the best number is whenever you get tired and you're done cleaning is where you should stop.
Yeah.
It's like feeding and everything, you can do it in like 2 minutes, you know.
Right.
But when you have like a big colony that's like at like 5,000 workers, it's really hard to clean up after them, especially when they're aggressive. So
Yeah.
you just think about how much time do you want to spend cleaning after them. That's, I feel like, where you should gauge.
Right. Let's see. I think I have about 6 to 8 colonies. I lost count. Not very many, but
See, that's one
That's not
subject.
too bad.
That's a great number.
People don't understand. It's like when you first join that unkeeping hobby. So for me, I got Lassie Niger, and then you're like, yeah, it's great, it's fun. You can feed it once a week. You're like, I want something else. I want more. I'm
Yeah.
feeding my ants like once a week. I'm a bit bored. So I'll go and get Mr. Barbarus. Mr. Barbarus are a harvest species, so you need to have like an outworld where you can give them seeds, so then you get something a little bit extra. And then right, I fed my ants. I fed this species as I fed that one, but now I'm bored again. I need something else, and you get Mimic or Rubra. Well, that's what I've done anyways. And then I want something else, and you go exotics, and you get more, and you get more, and you get more. So now I'm sitting and I go for yes, I'm sitting now with like 14 ant species. I mean, I've probably got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 species which are an issue when it comes to maintenance because I've got to take liquid feeder. But what I do is I've got these little tubs, what's got Antbay around. So I'll take the liquid feeder out, put it in the little tub, let the ants all escape, but they can't get out that tub because it's got the barrier on. So then I can do the water feed, the water change, and place it back in. Then I've got to use the soft tweezers to pick each and every ant back up and put them all back in. And then it comes to like the larger ants, like me Campanotus nicobarensis, and they're ready to go into a medium nest now, and they're probably in about 500-600 workers. And trying to feed them and stuff like that with the liquid feeders, it is a big task and it's a challenge. And like I've got 2 kids, I've got a fiance, and I'll say to Jordan's my partner, I'll say, I'm just gonna go upstairs and feed the ants. She'll go, all right, try and be quick this time. I'm like, yeah, no problem. 2 hours later, I come downstairs. You took this. You took ages. I'm got to bed. I'm off to bed. I'm like, listen, love, like I'm really, really sorry, but like I've got no other option. Do you know what I mean? Like it needs to be done. Yeah, but you said you'd be 2 minutes, and it's honestly.
That's
But like she done like not the bad mouth on that way because she does show a lot of interest every time I get a new species or anything like that. She comes up and she's like, oh, can I have a look? What does this species do? Does it eat this? Like she does show a lot of interest, like, and God bless her that way. Like she does show interest on what I actually do. Like she does pay attention to it that way, and that's why I love her as much. Because if I have interest in anything, she shows all her love and support towards everything I do. But I know personally, she doesn't care. Do you know what I mean? But her being the nice person that she is, she does show interest and effort on that way, which I do appreciate. I mean, it is nice, but yeah. If you're going to keep ant colonies, and number-wise, all depends on your lifestyle. How much time and effort have you got? I've got 14 species now. I can't imagine how hard and difficult it's going to be for me when these colonies mature. I mean, I've got Carabara diversa, Campanotus nicobarensis, and meat ants. They are 3 very fast-growing species, and very soon I'm going to be above my head in drama. And I'm not looking forward to it. So like I say, it all depends on the species you get in your lifestyle and stuff like that.
Makes sense.
I have 7, not 8. I just counted because my Tetramorium that I just caught. They're still founding them with the split test tubes that I have, so they count as 1.
What about you, Lexi?
We're talking about personal colonies, not
Yeah.
stock.
Yeah, personal.
Not stock.
I don't want to tell you how many I got here.
Personal colonies. I should have done the counting before it got to my turn. I think it's a 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to say 4.
A very
And then we have
respectable number.
3 tarantulas, and then we have
Hell yes.
like 10 jumping spiders, not counting the babies, because that's stock.
Sorry, what tarantulas have you got? Sorry to interrupt.
I have P. Metallica.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
How old?
She was a rescue, or he. It's unsexed. It was so the 3 tarantulas that I have are rescue tarantulas. So it was someone that moved to the States, couldn't take his tarantulas with him, so he left his tarantulas with his brother, who does not like tarantulas. So he did not know how to take care of them. So he was desperately trying to rehome them. I took them, and when I went to go pick them up, it was actually supposed to be 5 tarantulas. Only 3 of them were actually alive when...
Ah, that sucks.
Yeah.
Can we see these tarantulas?
The P. Metallica, I think, might be downstairs.
They'll probably be hiding, I'm guessing, in the burrows.
They're probably hiding in a cave. Oh.
P. Metallica is a beautiful species. They're very very bright blue. They're a beautiful, beautiful species. It's a species that I want for sure.
We still need to change their enclosure. But this is
Ooh, yeah.
This is one.
Oh god, that thing's huge.
That thing is huge.
Yeah. And then there's the other one I will not. This one is the.
No, I'm good.
Bird eater?
No.
Yeah, it's bird eater. There's one there, which is the Bulfori. It's mean, so I'm not touching it.
Who is it? The Balfouri.
Sorry.
The Balfouri. Is that what species the other one is?
Yes.
Ah, yeah, they're beautiful. That was actually the first when I first looked at tarantulas. That was actually the first one I looked at because I just seen this white fluffy tarantula with black legs, and I just thought, look, that's the panda of spiders, and I want it. And I got told straight away, if anything, if you're a new time tarantula keeper, stay away from anything that has baboon in the name. And Balfouri has baboon in the name, and they're actually a communal species, which is awesome.
Yes.
You can actually keep like 50, 60, 70 of these tarantulas in a single enclosure if you want.
Yeah.
They're a beautiful, amazing, super fascinating species.
But it goes like in attack stance as soon as like you go anywhere near it.
Yeah. Well, I've got an OBT, and this OBT is an absolute beep. Put it that way. I'll censor myself. My OBT, it stands for orange bitey thing, but it's got an actual scientific name for like OBT, but it stands for OBT, is orange bitey thing, and it's just the most aggressive little pain in the backside in your life. It was about this big when I got it, and it was in the tub, and when I went towards it in the tub, threat pose instantly. And I'm talking about a very, very young juvenile. You see that type of attitude from an adult.
Oh,
And
Yeah.
to see a very young, very, very young juvenile giving it the whole.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I mean, yeah.
the Bulfori had to be the enclosure had to be changed. And so the brother was trying to put it in a new enclosure, and he freaked out. So so when I went to go pick up this tarantula, it was in this huge bin, huge bin with the
Yeah,
new
because
enclosure inside.
they burrow as well as like webbing, don't they?
No, but he used this huge bin to do the transfer, and he panicked.
Oh, I got you.
So it was like in this huge bin, an empty bin with the new enclosure inside. So we brought it home, and we're trying to put it in the new enclosure. Mind you, this is the first time dealing with a tarantula. So we put the bin in the bathtub because we're like, okay, it's big enough, if it runs away, catch cup, da-da-da. It literally jumped out of the
This
tub
is my tool.
at my husband. It jumped at my husband.
Oh,
I
they
freaked
do
out.
not mess around. They do not mess around.
I ran out of the bathroom. If you're dying alone. I'm not. I'm out of here. But he somehow managed to catch it, put it into the enclosure, and since then we have not touched it. We drilled a hole on the lid to feed it, and that's it.
Do you have a catch cup?
Yeah. He had like
So
3 of them.
So I made this. So I got a big bottle of pop. Obviously you wash it out, cut the bottom off, right, and then as you can see, put a few holes in.
Yeah.
Same with the lid. And when it comes to changing enclosures, just open the lid on top of the spider. You've got the holes in the side. Poke a straw through the side to encourage the spider.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
We've done that with the bag, with the Ziploc bag. But the thing is that this thing was in such a big container. That's what he was trying to do. He was trying to grab a catch cup, put it on top. But as soon as you lift the lid, it was like, and then it jumped right out of the tub.
Well, I had to rehouse me OBT, and the OBT is like one of the fastest, aggressive, and most venomous little buttholes in the world when it comes to like tarantulas. Yeah, they really are like known for being like little bell ends, basically.
Yeah. I'll go get my Metallica.
Oh, please, yes, go and get it. They're beautiful. But yeah, so anyone is listening to this, I know this is going to audio as well as video. So what I'm doing is I'm showing my friends here on the stream. It's basically a 2-litre bottle. I've cut the curly bottom off. I've poked about 4 or 5 holes up along the side. I've also poked a hole into the lid. And what I do is when I try to move my tarantulas around is I'll scoop the tarantula over the top. I'll use a straw in through the holes to coast it up the bottle. And once it's up the bottle and it's inside, I'll move it out of one tank into the next. Then I'll use the straw through the holes to coast it back out and into its new enclosure.
That's
bam! Smartness.
Brilliant. We actually have 2 questions from B-Red in the chat. Who here has been keeping ants the longest? It's definitely not me.
2.5 years, so I'm out. I'm going to take a leave. I'll be right back. 2.5 years, I'll be right back.
Year and 2 months.
I'm like 5 or 6, something like that.
Oh, okay. Then you're definitely on top of me because I got, it's going to be 4 this year, I think. 3, 4.
Ah.
So 2020. So that's 2023. Yeah. So it'll be my 3rd or 4th year at keeping ants. So. And we had another question in chat from B-Rad. In your opinion, what would someone have to do to achieve... In your opinion, what would someone have had to achieve to be considered a professional ant keeper?
So, a professional ant keeper or an experienced ant keeper? Because a professional ant keeper, you have to make money off of ant keeping.
Right.
Technically speaking.
Technically.
Right?
So,
yeah, that makes sense.
yes.
Yeah, so I think this person wants to know what you have to achieve to be a experienced ant keeper.
Yeah.
Which I am not. So
Sorry, what was the question again?
The question was, in your opinion, what would someone have had to achieve to be considered a professional ant keeper or experienced ant keeper?
probably being able to maintain an exotic species to them. Because obviously an exotic species is a species from a different country to where they're native. So for me, being from the UK, if I can basically maintain and manage and successfully raise an exotic species to me, which could be from Thailand, it could be from Spain, it could be from France, it could be from any other country. If I import an ant from any other country to the country that I live in now, and I can successfully raise that, then yeah, I've smashed it. Obviously, you guys in the US, the likes of Vern, he's very successful with his honeypots. Obviously, they're native to him. So if Vern could send out honeypots to me and I could raise them, then I had no issues. I could say, yeah, I'm pretty successful. But I don't think anyone can go as far as the limit as being a pro.
I would say your expertise would come down to like the whole bag. You know what I mean? From going out catching it, raising a single queen to workers, and I know in some places it's
oh yeah,
like
for
more,
sure, 100%.
It's more leaned on.
It's all native. Like when it comes to stuff like that, it's all native. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, native stuff's easy because I mean, I could go outside now, catch last year's Niger because they're flying currently. I could catch last year's Niger, and I could come and put it in a pot and put it on me tubs and tube setups on the bottom of me of that last year's Niger, and that's fair enough. But I think if you're going to look professional, it's basically knowing that you're able to be God, and you can basically control the environment, temperatures, the humidity, and stuff like that.
And you
the
have
food,
a good enough understanding of ants in general.
And
so
the life
if you got an exotic
the life
species,
expectancies.
you could figure it out. You know what I mean?
I mean, like Mesa Barbus, for example. I mean, I know that's a very easy species for us in Europe, because obviously they make ant bread and stuff like that. But then you look at America, and America have ants like the leaf cutters who need to grow fungus gardens and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Then obviously then you've got honeypot ants. It'll all depend. It's going to be hard to be very to be called a professional at keeping ants.
I don't really believe there's a professional or like
I don't either.
Expert.
I don't either.
You're always
but I think you could call yourself an experienced ant keeper if you're able to maintain, if you know and you have an understanding of everything of how the entire subject, how the hobby works, and you're able to maintain an ant species from every continent or whatever. And yeah, you can class yourself as a great ant keeper. But I believe
probably
everybody will struggle at some point.
Yeah,
1,000,000%.
But even that, some of that is going to be a trial by fire. I mean, there's a lot of species, even in the United States. There's a lot of stuff that's never been kept before, and that we have very little.
Oh, 100%. 100%. So I mean, look at army ants. Army ants are impossible to keep as pets because army ants don't have nests. They build a nest out of the cells.
Supposedly people have, but
I've seen some videos of how they keep it. It's just really big enclosures.
I don't think there's any like end goal. I think you can be more experienced than you were when you started, but like
you like literally have to have your full back garden just like in a giant acrylic box.
Yeah.
And just
it probably comes down to like, do you know about ants? Can you implement your knowledge into how to take care of the ants and on a consistent basis, right? Of course, you're going to have some die-offs. Yeah,
I don't think anybody could generally call themselves a professional. I think they call themselves experienced and maybe well experienced. But I don't think professionals. I don't think professionals on a level.
Professional is someone that makes money off of it. Experienced.
Probably Ants Canada is professional at it. No, he makes millions out of this.
Nah, because that's on content though, not being an actual keeper. If that makes sense.
Yeah, but
being a professional ant keeper, I
see. Personally, myself, I wouldn't go as far as saying as a professional as someone who makes money. I was a professional as somebody who knows how to keep every single ant species 100% without failing. That's what I would say as a professional.
That's not even possible.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. That's what I would personally class as a professional. Is somebody who could successfully keep every species successful, and it's just not going to happen.
Or
being experienced and very well experienced.
You could be an expert at your bread and butter, and not be an expert in someone else's bread and butter. You can be an expert at the parts of the hobby that you focus on, and someone else can be an expert on another part.
Yeah, for sure.
But you also both could be professionals. You could,
And
both
that's
be
why I was saying
making
exotic
money off
wise,
it,
because
and-
I could go and get Lassie's Niger and just store like 50 queens and Jews and raise them successfully because they're native here.
Right.
So if you're going to look at something on that level, you're going to have to get something from a different country, knowing that you can supply the correct temperatures, the correct humidity, the correct food source, the correct environment, the correct substrate, and everything to make sure that they thrive and live and obviously be successful.
Good job, Brad.
Bam, mic drop.
Good job.
I got the spider. Hold on.
Spider.
Before we
Oh, the
move on.
Metallica.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see.
Oh, that
Yeah.
thing's so
Yeah.
huge.
I see it.
We got wild ones in Texas. If you guys want a few,
No, I'm
come out
good.
here and grab
My
them.
brother lives in Texas, and I spoke to him yesterday. I asked him if he saw a spider. I think he saw a jumping spider, but he was too scared to touch it.
All my tarantulas on the bedside unit, and my missus is asleep, and obviously it's like 3:14 a.m. now for me, so
Okay.
I can't go crawling in the bedroom and pulling out tarantulas and jumping spiders to show you. Unfortunately, otherwise I would have. If I knew tarantulas would have been a subject, I would have brought them up here now and I would have had them on the table ready to show. But
I'm definitely afraid of big spiders, so I'm.
Oh, yeah,
definitely-
same.
I've always been a big fear
I'd
of
rather keep
spiders.
snakes than spiders.
No, honestly, I've always been scared of spiders. Like,
Same.
not even lying, I always have been scared of spiders. And I turned around one day, I was like, you know what it is? I want to try and overcome it. So I bought a juvenile tarantula. And then I got a second juvenile tarantula. And then I got a third juvenile tarantula. Then I got a couple of slings. And I got a jumping spider. And now I'm sound. Don't get us wrong. I wouldn't try and hold them. I know you're not supposed to hold your tarantulas because tarantulas' feet are actually so sensitive they can actually feel the blood pulsing around your body. And
Really?
if they get skittish, they're either going to run or they're going to bite. So you don't hold your spiders, you don't do nothing like that. That's why people always, there's a movement in the tarantula keeping community around hold at own risk. Obviously, if you're going to hold a tarantula, you hold it close to the floor because if it falls, it's going to hurt itself. It's going to rupture its abdomen. There's loads of subjects and stuff go into it. But the main thing is you're not really supposed to hold them because their feet are so sensitive that they can actually feel the blood pumping around your body. So they know that, like, for an example, if they climbed on a rhino, right, I'm on something that's alive, and if they get freakish, they're either going to bite the rhino or they're going to take off. And obviously, if you're just a human where you've got thinner skin than a rhino, they're going to think, yeah, who's this little softy? There's do you know what I mean? But
Right.
yeah, I've got a few beautiful tarantulas here, man. I absolutely love them. I've got a GBB, Nanu chromatis, both mature males. I've got a Theroposa hypothesis, which is probably going to be like 13-inch when it's grown. Giant Mexican. I've got a few beauts, versicolors, and jumping spiders. They're beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I love them.
Oh, the other one that I showed you is Brazilian.
Is it really? What?
I'm like, oh wait, Durga is Brazilian. Yeah.
Show me the London Strip.
So yeah, we're closing in on 2 hours in the show. So we're gonna go ahead and start to wrap up. But I have one last final question. Antbay, are you going to eat that ant?
Eat it.
Eat it. Eat it.
Eat it. I don't see it. He's faking it.
Right, hold on. Whoa. Hang fire. Let me get Snapchat.
Ah, see the little speck?
You look sad.
He looks.
Actually, hold on.
I mean, it's about to be eaten. It can't be happy.
Let me get some Instagram story.
Oh, that was funny.
Right, I don't know if you can see it, but here, that's what it's like.
Right, fire away.
Yum.
At it.
Yep,
See it? Alright.
done that.
Bitter.
It tastes like nothing. It tastes like nothing.
It was a show trick. He put it behind his ear.
Yeah.
I'll bring it out. Here's
Yeah, there's a little one. Yeah.
He put it up his sleeve.
Yeah.
Now he he put it in his
there's
pants.
like-
Now he has ants in his
Now,
pants.
now I know why your
It's like
mimic
kinda
is
like-
are not doing so well.
The cat climbing up the wall.
Been snacking.
It's kind of like vitamin C, but like
I've had better steaks than
I
that.
think.
Oh, that's funny. Yep.
But when I guess I'll just do this quick. Back in Mongolia, when we grew up, we used to like lick ants' butts.
Huh.
And we,
What?
Yeah. So you would. We had like huge carpenter ants, and then you would lick the butts, and then it's so acidic that you just go like, like.
Wow.
And then to see like who wouldn't show any like facial reactions, anything like that. So I'm used to eating insects. It's okay.
I tell you what, so obviously I know we're about to close up on the show.
Yep.
Obviously you're the main guest to the show. Obviously we're the co-host, you're the guest. So quick couple of questions from me. How old are you currently at the moment, if you don't mind asking?
I just turned 30.
Right. When did you first start keeping ants?
A year and 2 months ago.
Oh, so you've literally like, recently
Yeah,
just started
super
keeping ants.
recent.
Yeah.
All
super
right,
recent.
awesome. So what was the first species you went for?
The first species I went for is carpenter ants, right, and then the pogos, which I had lost. I don't know where they went.
Oops.
But those two were the first two ants I got.
So which carpenter ant did you go for first? Right, which was your first carpenter ant species?
I don't know the name because I got it from Ants Canada GAN program, and then I asked for first I asked for Visicus,
Vicinus?
Vicinus, yeah, but he didn't have that, so he gave me something that looks super similar to it. I don't know what it's really called.
Sansevienis, maybe, or Semistaceus.
I think it's Sansevienis. It's maybe that.
Right.
I'm not sure.
So how many ant species do you currently own at the moment?
At the
or
moment, I have
colonies?
well established 10 colonies, and then founding 7 more.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love watching your videos of the time lapses of the different color like liquid feedings. That they're awesome. That's great content. That's great content. And
Yeah.
you have it in high quality as well, so it's really nice to watch. It's nice to visualize.
All on this phone.
Yeah. All on his phone. Yeah.
All on the phone. Who needs camera, right?
Do you have any plans coming for any new species or any different types of stuff coming? Like, I got anything coming? Like,
yeah, I
maybe
have
give it, like, little
2 big
teasers.
projects coming along, and I'm trying to recruit some people to work with me here. Currently, I'm working on a passion project, which is kind of making a documentary. You know how it's Australia, that's his name.
Yeah.
He used to make
Urban
like those
Ants?
documentary style videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm working on, and I'm currently trying to get an interview with one of the people that works in Cal Academy of Science, where they keep all the insects. So I'm trying to do like a small documentary on Argentine ants and how it's spreading through America as well as the world, and how big of an impact it creates both agriculturally and to residents here in California and across the U.S. That's one of my projects coming along, and it's in the first steps. I'm still working the scripts. So I'm still working on trying to get some interviews with like professional people.
That'll be interesting because like you see, like a lot of things are normally around fire ants and how like invasive they are and damaging they are, and I'm pretty sure I'd say, to farmers, I'm pretty sure like invasive ants in the US offer like over 700k worth of damages just
it's
fire ants alone is
just the farmers.
billion.
That's what I'm saying.
fire
Just the
ants,
farmers
billions
alone,
in
I'm pretty sure I'd say
agriculture.
just over like 700,000 farmers alone. Like if they come to a potato, they're gonna be like,
Yeah.
fuck that spud. I'm gonna dig straight through it and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's pretty crazy, but I don't know, man. It's mad. It is. It's mad.
So that's one thing I'm working on, and it's like in a very early stage, and I'm hoping to get it done in like 2 months. I hope.
Do you have any new colonies planned, like coming in? Like, is there anything? Like,
Any
if
new
any
colonies?
leaks
Not at
through?
the moment. I got my hands full with these ones.
Wait, no, man. There's
Yeah.
never
But
too many
I'm
colonies. There's never
hoping
too many.
I'm hoping I can get my hands on leaf cutters once they start flying, in August down in Southern California. Then, till then, no new plans for getting new hands.
Do you have like a set of plan for them, or do you have one made up, or what?
I have no idea.
Nah,
Yeah,
he's
just
winging it.
hoping.
You're
Yeah,
just
just
winging
winging
it.
it.
You're
I
winging
got
it. You're
some in
winging
a
it.
mini hearth right now, and they're doing great. Believe it or
Oh,
not.
really?
Oh,
Yeah,
That's
some
good.
Acro Mirmix Versicolor, yeah.
Yeah, that's hoping.
I should
hoping to
have
go
some of them
catch that.
available in the next month if you are
so
still
going
looking.
by your
Yeah.
There you go.
like going by your
There you go,
Instagram,
then.
did you ever plan to like make like Instagram, social media, like so that like was that ever planned, or did you just go with the flow with things? Like how did it
No,
all
it
happen?
wasn't originally fully planned out. I started watching YouTube videos in Ants Canada, and then after that, I found Holifer. And then I was like, hey, I should start just keeping these. I did that, and one of my friends reached out to me like, hey, I can make you a logo if you want to, like, if you're gonna start taking pictures and start putting it on Instagram. I was like, yeah, I can do that. And it just kind of like, went off after that. And
Yeah.
I was like taking pictures, and then nobody cared about the pictures. And somebody reached out to me like, hey, if you've seen Lights Camera Ants, you should do kind of like what he does, give him like, just liquids and feed them, see how it goes. And then I did, and one of my just video took off. And then I think I'm still bitter about the Instagram. That video was the third highest video ever viewed that year, I think. And then never give me props, but that's not the point. But yeah, that's how it all ended up happening. It was like nothing really planned, but just like everybody kept on telling me like, you should try this, you should try this, you should try this, and then I'm here.
Yeah. I think
That's what I say.
I think Holifer shared something of yours, and then I saw it, and then added you, and then we started talking.
Yeah, see, like
Yeah.
See,
it's all about
personally, I
connections, making
think
friends.
Antbay started doing all the videos of the liquid colour feedings. The way that he does them. I know lights, camera, ants, and everything. Like everyone all does like all these different like liquid colour feedings things, but I think since Antbay started doing his the way that he does, there's a lot of other content creators have actually.
That's how the internet works.
Yeah, I love it. If they did get the idea from me, that would be amazing.
Your mic cut
You're
out,
muted, Russ.
Russ.
Pardon?
You're
There
muted.
you are.
Play it back.
I can hear us.
You couldn't hear you for a second.
Get in. Yes, that is what I'm saying. Sorry, I think that when there's a lot of other people out there who do obviously and keeping videos and they do stuff like that, but when Antbay started doing his liquid colour feeding like with the sugar and stuff like that, there was a few other content creators did copy off him, which isn't a bad thing. I just think,
no, it's definitely not.
It just how the internet works
Yeah.
and math.
yes, oh yeah,
basically.
exactly. So I think when something becomes as popular as that is, like that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, so obviously there wasn't much stuff going on for liquid colour feeding like videos, and then all of a sudden Antbay started doing these liquid colour like sugar feedings, and it become popular, and then other people started doing it, other people started doing it. And I think it's good because it's bringing in all these new people. I mean, like, if a new person sits and scrolls down Instagram, and all of a sudden they come up with a random reel, and it's Antbay's video, and he's sitting dropping like red, blue, yellow, green, and all these different colours, and the ants are all swarming it, and they're like, oh yeah, hold up one sec. Like, that's quite interesting. And then they click on it and come on the page, and they see all this other stuff, and then you get the odd person to look at it, and they'll be like, meh. On to the next time. But it's all about that one person who is interested, and then if they come on to that one person who's interested, and they follow him, and then other people who's doing the same similar stuff like Ants Holifer and all these other people who's copying, and that's where it all blows up. Do you know what I mean? That's where it follows and it links on from one person to another, and that's where the hobby grows. And I think specifically at the moment, the ant keeping hobby is growing at a very good rate.
I
mean,
it's
like,
grown
look at
crazy
like
this year.
Definitely.
5 years ago, there was no like tarantula keeping hobby. There was no reptile friggin' hobby. Do you know what I mean? And when you look at reptiles and tarantulas, that's a whole different level compared to the likes of ants.
Whole nother world.
But the ant keeping hobby at the moment is growing like very fast, and there's a lot of people getting involved in it. I mean, like, I help moderate the Ant Ladies Facebook group. I mean, she's a popular retailer in the UK, and she ships worldwide, and she's the admin obviously of her group. I moderated for her. I help like run all the shit. And I see all these posts every day, like people's asking all these different questions and asking this, and loads of people's requesting to join. The amount of requests that I accept people joining daily is berserk, and it's loads of new people, and people like putting the information boxes say, why are you joining the group? And it's like, I'm new to ant keeping, I want to find out this, I want to find out that. And I get that like 30, 40, 50, 60 times a day. The ant keeping community is growing very, very fast at the moment. It's amazing to see.
Yeah, it is.
Honestly, it's amazing. It's so exciting. So to see where the ant keeping community hobby's gone for me personally within the last 2 years that I've been doing it, to imagine it within like 5 years from now. I mean, you've got AntCon and all this shit there. It's going to be fantastic. Honestly, it's going to be absolutely fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I wish we can do the same thing here in the US, but
Something's in the works.
Yes, I was just gonna see. I was just see my boy doing it. Yes, I was just gonna see. Hold on, behave. There's something in the works for that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm definitely looking forward to that then.
So yeah, we're coming up on 2 hours. This is probably one of the longest shows I've done. So let's go ahead and wrap up. Antbay, could you go ahead and let the listeners and viewers know where they can find you?
You can find me pretty much anywhere. Antbay on Instagram or YouTube, on TikTok or on Facebook.
Okay.
Now with the new threads of Instagram, you can find me there too, where I'm just like, kind of like just putting stuff out, like saying hi in the morning.
Yeah.
But yeah. But I'm most active on Instagram, and if you want to say hi or talk to me, that's where I'm at.
All right, sounds good. And Ross.
Just go out on my Instagram. It's Big Ross 2021, and in my bio you'll find a link, and that'll probably take you to everything: Discord, YouTube, stuff like that. And I'm probably most interactive on Instagram. Any messages and stuff like that. So yeah, feel free to hit us up on there. And Digger, thank you very much, mate. Big episode, it's your first one back. Thank you very much for having us on. It's a big pleasure. Thanks for having us as a host. Today is a big, exciting day. It's been a long time since you've done it again. So, mate, I'm very glad to be here. I'm very glad to be a part of the team. I'm excited to be. I'm glad to be excited to work alongside Lexi and Vern. It's good shit. Appreciate it. And Bay, nice to meet you eventually as well. And I hope you all had a nice week, and hope you all have a smashing weekend. And I guess we'll catch up soon, guys.
Yeah. All right, and Lexi.
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram for more. Facebook, we have a Facebook group called For the Love of Ants and Spiders. We have a Discord server where you can get discounts for the shop. So the more active you are in our Discord server, the more discounts you get. So our roles have discounts attached to it. We also have giveaways and stuff on there as well. So the best place to reach us, though, is at pourmoreart.ca.
Ooh.
Either. All right.
Can you also link me your Discord, please? I'm having your Discord. Sorry. Thank you.
And Vern.
Yeah, same thing. You can go to www.antopiausa.com. All of our socials are right there. I probably do like the most posting and updating stuff on Facebook. I talk to and help a lot of people through Instagram too, but feel free to reach out to us wherever. And thanks for having me, Dirka, and excited to see this thing keep growing.
Yeah, me too. So thankful to have you guys all here. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Well, actually, no. We got... let me look at the show notes really quick. We got... So next week is a regular episode. Haven't decided what I'm doing yet. It's probably going to be a species episode or something else, or maybe kind of an update on this or whatever. So I'm going to figure that one out. But in 2 weeks, on July 21st, we are doing a interview with Ants Britannia. He's currently backpacking through Asia and Australia. And so we're going to bring him on, and he's pretty much just going to talk about his backpacking journey and what he's seen out there, and it's going to be fun. So that's pretty much it for this episode, and we'll see you guys on the next one.